After the word from us kid segment ends, another episode begins. Written by Stephanie Simpson and storyboarded by Jeremy O'Neill. Directed by Greg Bailey and everyone else who was responsible for creating this episode. Now let's get started. Arthur does his normal habit of breaking the fourth wall, saying that things are not bad as they seem as long as you're prepared. I can see that. It's a lovely day as a Godzilla creature destroys and eats buildings and swats away helicopters as everyone runs away in terror. Everyone as in two people. Superman comes, Bionic Bunny, and has a convenient device. The monster Shrinkervator. And it does what it does. 10. Arthur gives a thumbs up to his fictional hero. Anyway, while 10. Arthur and Buster drives through the jungle for some reason, going somewhere. Arthur asks Buster if he knows where he's going. Buster is sure, and all they have to do is cross the river that has no bridge, and if that wasn't bad enough, it's also invested with crocodiles. Arthur points out the obvious. Buster tells him to relax and presses the very convenient boat button as Arthur doesn't relax as he screams until they are safe. But the crocodiles attack and pop the boat. As they cross to the other side, Arthur breaks the fourth wall again and says that there are some things that you can never be prepared for. In a flashback, David has hair. As Jane's hair is a little bit longer, they come home with danger warning. Dora Winifred, born with more hair than the other times, as she speaks a word that sets Arthur with unease. I never got this part. What was the thing he wasn't prepared for? Was it because DW speaks somehow, or that Arthur is feeling uneasy because he has a feeling that she is going to be a lot of trouble for him? Pinky says the title as DW tied to a rope, pretending to be a flying wingless fairy, making something appear that she doesn't like and turns it into a frog. Classic DW. At preschool, Miss Morgan calls the students for story time. When was there a sandbox inside? For some reason, DW doesn't come and continues to play with her castle blocks. Miss Morgan calls for her 2 times as Tommy succeeds at yelling at DW, surprising her as he smiles evilly. Tommy, you are the worst. 1 hour later, as Pal enjoys a nice nap, DW turns on the TV, slightly waking up Pal. She turns up the volume, making Pal evacuate the premises of the den. Arthur runs in, annoyed with the loudness of the TV. He grabs the remote, and DW wants it back, not wanting the volume to be compromised. Dad comes in, grabs the remote, agreeing with the loudness as well. DW walks close to the TV, as Mary Moo Cow breaks the fourth wall, as most fictional characters do. Arthur doesn't count. He's definitely believably real. Only in another dimension. I believe. Mary Moo Cow says the word 10. Arthur runs away, screaming as DW jumps for joy. Dad says she's too close to the screen, but she can't hear if she's not close. Dad takes note of this. 1 hour later, Dad and DW are at the doctor's, greeted by Dr. Tinnitus. 10. She asks DW how she's feeling. DW answers positively, believing that she's here because Arthur is mean and selfish and hates Mary Moo Cow. I don't think that's why. Dad explains what's been happening, saying DW had several ear infections this year, one after another. I wish I could understand what he's talking about. When he says ear infections, does he mean problems with hearing or inflammation? And what do you mean by this year? Is there some context that happened before the main part of the episode began? I know this episode has to be 11 minutes long, but I wish there was enough room to explain what he's talking about. DW says that her ears don't hurt. Dr. Chen, I'm going to call her that for now, checks one of DW's ears with an otoscope and says that there's some gunky stuff trapped in the middle ear. DW says she doesn't feel it, but Dr. Chen says it makes it harder for DW to hear. DW asks, why? Dr. Chen picks up a model of an ear and starts explaining that sound travels through waves, as DW starts imagining riding a gnarly sound wave. She wipes it out and bounces on an eardrum and gets stuck. Same with the sound. The reason with her hearing trouble. DW wants to know how to get the gunk out. Dr. Chen says the best way to get it out is to put tubes in DW's ears. DW asks if she's going to look weird, as she imagines herself with the look, as her imagined self doesn't look uncomfortable, and Dad has trouble with the heavy degunkifier. Back to reality, Dr. 10 explains and shows the tubes that are very tiny and that will get the gunk drained out. DW asks how the tiny tubes will get inside her ears. Dr. 10 says that DW has to come to the hospital, be put to sleep, and put in the tiny green things in her ears, and be woken up. And Dr. 10 claims that the operation will be simple. Okay, simple means there are no more problems. Roll credits. But it's not over. More adventure to come. Whenever later, Dad says that DW's operation will be next week. Then DW and Arthur reach out for a food item, but instead of fighting over it, Arthur lets her have it. No fighting required. DW is a little suspicious that she enjoys her, lunch cannoli? What is that? Later, Dad asks the whole family what movie they should see. Arthur casually says that DW can choose. DW is in shock of this and suggests a movie Arthur would never want to see. Pretty Pony's Princess Adventure. And he seems alright with it. Dad and Mom are surprised by this. One princess movie later, Arthur brings milk and cookies to DW. But she wanted juice and cookies, a completely different trend. Arthur yells at her, but then decides to get what she wants. Then DW wants to know why Arthur's being so nice to her. Arthur explains that it's because of the operation DW is about to have in about a week. DW doesn't understand why, and Arthur says that it's a big deal, and that she's being very brave about it. DW didn't know she had to be brave, and Arthur says that she's doing a great job at it, and then goes downstairs to get what the patient ordered as she enjoys her cookies. I hope Arthur gets the right kind, or at least come back a second later before going downstairs and ask which kind she prefers. Days later, at the patient care unit, the hospital, Dad and DW exit the elevator and is greeted by a kind, unfamiliar face. She looks at her clipboard for DW's name as DW acts shy and says that they are going to give her an exam to make sure that she's ready for surgery. DW wants to know what happens if she's not ready. 10. The nameless person reassures her and says that they make sure that she is ready. That's all, folks. Anyway, there's a montage. DW gets weighed, measured. They have to redo that. Cheater! And blood pressure. That was a quick montage. But now to the important part that most people dread. The nameless person says that she has to take some blood with some kind of rope. This isn't true, of course, but when I was little, I thought that thing in her hand was some kind of special device to take away some blood. The nameless person says it's okay to sit in Dad's lap. DW declines. Dad asks if she's sure. DW panics a tiny bit, saying that she will do it to make him feel better, hiding her fear. DW's panic levels increase, avoiding the terrible sight, asking her dad to be held tighter but not that tight, wishing for him to not let go as she waits for the pain to come. Dad tells her that it's over, and the nameless person tells DW that she's a brave girl. DW supposedly agrees as she pulls down her sleeve, not waiting for a band-aid, and says that Arthur would have cried like a baby. I don't think he would. DW is given a hospital bed to operate at home. She thanks the nameless person and is ready to leave. Yay! But wait, that's not how it ends. DW is told that she has to see more doctors. How many doctors will it take? I don't know. Hours later, nighttime, back at home, DW tells Arthur all that happened. Dad comes in and says that it's time for bed. DW begins to worry that it won't work and that she's going to wake up before the operation. Dad reassures her and tells her that the doctors know exactly how much medicine to give her to keep her asleep until it's over. Arthur tells her not to worry, everything will be fine, and tells her to keep on being brave. DW is clearly unsure of her bravery. Dad tells her to get some rest and says sweet dreams. DW starts having her sweet dream at a cave hospital being escorted by Tommy and Timmy. So far, not good at all. And Miss Morgan asks DW if she's ready for her listening ears operation. DW isn't sure. And 10. Tommy says that they have to check her bravery levels. and tells her to lie down in the bravoscope, which is clearly called the bravometer. She does what they tell her to do, and it ends up that DW doesn't have a single level of bravery.
Poor DW. She'll probably never be able to swim without water wings.
Someday she will. Someday she will. The dream ends as morning begins and DW gasps. Later, she shows Dad that her ears are better by turning on the TV while it's mute. DW claims that she can hear it with the sound off. She says that they can cancel the operation and have pancakes. Dad knows what's going on and says that it's okay to be scared and that she needs this operation to fix the problem with her ears. DW hugs her dad, still wishing not to have to go through this. He comforts her, saying that it will be all right. From a selection of hospital gowns, she chooses pretty ponies. Later, she is told that she is the best patient ever and is given a sticker to prove it. Arthur draws a good luck mark on her hand with his lucky pencil. I don't understand why that doesn't hurt since the mark is so dark and the pencil is really sharp. And why does she need luck? I guess it's to make her feel like that there's nothing to worry about. I guess that's alright. I don't know. Dr. 10 comes and says she's ready for her number 1 patient, and Dad is able to carry her in. DW and Arthur hug a goodbye, saying with Mom. DW grabs her hospital bear, bragging that everyone loves her and that she's the number 1 patient. Careful what you say to DW. It will go to her head. DW slowly falls asleep as Dad tells her they will see her as soon as she wakes up. She hums Twinkle Twinkle Little Star as she dreams about being Super Ear Girl that saves a unicorn from being hunted by a troll and saves the TV vibrating. She then hears her parents calling for her and she flies away and wakes up. Later, DW gets mad that someone else is called the number 1 patient. Arthur talks to someone on the phone saying that DW is feeling better again because she's driving him crazy again.
I heard that!
But she was driving you crazy when she wasn't better. Arthur hangs up the phone without saying goodbye. DW gets him to let her check his ears as she pretends to be a doctor, and then says that his brains are missing and that they had to operate right away. Arthur declines as he runs away.
I promise you won't feel a thing! Oh, come on! What are you scared of? It's just a little brain operation!
DW always knows what to say. I really like this episode. It has flaws as many other Arthur episodes do, and it has a good story that many people can relate to, young and old. As I grade this episode, I shall give it an A-. Stay tuned next time for the next episode review. If there's anything you want me to do that's Arthur related, Odd Squad related, or even Little Bear related, please comment them down below, and I'll see if I'm able to do them. Bye!
Hello!